I caught my husband cheating at noon. You won't believe what happened next. The clock struck 12 while the sun blazed down on our quiet little town. A heat wave curled around me, but nothing felt as oppressive as the sudden chill creeping up my spine. My heart raced as I caught sight of him, Jason, my husband, a man I thought I knew inside and out. But there he was, laughing too loudly, his arms wrapped around another woman like they shared something sacred. I was frozen in disbelief, caught between wanting to scream and wanting to disappear. My pulse pounded in my ears as the world blurred into a haze of colors, the red of betrayal scorching hotter than the sun above. I watched in disbelief as the woman's hair glinted like gold in the afternoon light. Who is she? I whispered, barely able to remember how to breathe. Was this a nightmare I couldn't wake up from? Each chuckle they shared clawed at my heart, digging deeper, and I felt sick. Dread knotted my stomach, a weight that pulled me down. I could picture their shared secrets like a dark cloud hovering above me, taunting me with the unknown. I glanced around, searching for witnesses to this travesty. The world seemed to stand still. One of the neighbors, Mrs. Henderson, was watering her roses. Her lips pursed as if sensing the electric tension in the air. I could just make out her murmur. Not Jason. A woman sitting on her front porch raised her eyebrows, her hands on her hips, a silent gesture filled with judgment. So, this wasn't just my pain. It was a wide spectacle, and the whole world was watching. Just as the reality of my husband's betrayal sunk in, a sudden noise shattered the moment. A loud pop. My heart leaped as a firecracker exploded overhead, though there were no celebrations in sight. I stole one last glance. Jason pulled the woman closer, whispering something against her ear. In an instant, anger took hold, like lava bubbling under a crust. How could he? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With my heart hammering in my chest, I made my move. I stepped forward, adrenaline flooding my senses. But before I could reach him, the woman pulled back, glancing over her shoulder with eyes wide in fear. Something in her expression froze me in my tracks. Who was she? And why did she seem as scared as I was? The answers danced just out of reach, flickering like shadows in the bright afternoon light. The air crackled with questions I didn't know how to ask. As I took a step closer, time felt suspended, pulled tight like a bowstring, about to snap. What would happen next? The moment hung in the air, thick like the humidity around me. The world narrowed to Jason's face. The laughter I once cherished now twisted into something unrecognizable. Confusion washed over the woman with the golden hair, the shock in her wide eyes mirroring my own. What had she stumbled into? Get away from him! I shouted, my voice breaking the spell that wrapped around us. The words felt raw, a bitter taste flooding my throat. Jason's head snapped around, surprise morphing into panic as he met my gaze. There it was, the first hint of guilt. What are you doing here? He stammered, his confidence crumbling like dry leaves. My heart quickened, wrapping itself in anger and betrayal, as clarity rushed in. I took another step forward, refusing to let the fear keep me still. I needed answers. I'm here to see what you're doing. I shot back, my fists balling at my sides. His body shifted, positioning himself defensively between me and this stranger, the woman still looking terrified. Seriously, just calm down. His voice dripped with false concern, the facade shattering under my fierce gaze. It's not what it looks like. Senti it. I scoffed, the bitterness overpowering any hint of reason. The neighborhood was alive with whispers now. I could feel the eyes of our neighbors pierce through me like hot needles, judging the man they thought they knew. I promise you, he began, But the woman interrupted, her voice trembling. I am sorry, I didn't know. She took a step back, hands raised as if surrendering, her brow knitted with guilt. How could she be sorry? This was on him. Who are you? I demanded, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. And why were you with my husband? The stranger flinched. I'm just a friend of his sister. He said I thought we were just hanging out. I swear. Her voice cracked, a desperation pouring from her words that I almost believed. Almost. Jason's eyes flicked between us, calculating. Anna, please. It's a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. I laughed bitterly. You think I'm going to fall for that? I stood by you through everything. And now this. He tried to reach for my arm, but I jerked back like he deburned me. The sudden heat radiating between us made it feel as if a storm had darkened the sky. I swear, I love you. I made a mistake, Jason pleaded, the tears welling in my eyes mixed with rage. Love? Did that word mean anything to him anymore? Just then, the loud pop that had startled me earlier echoed again, and I turned to see a small group of kids lighting firecrackers nearby, oblivious to the chaos unfolding. Their laughter was a cruel reminder of innocence lost, the joy clashing harshly with the desperation in this moment. As I fought against the tears threatening to spill, I saw a flash of something in Jason's eyes, a flicker of doubt, fear, whatever it was. It made my stomach churn. I don't believe you anymore, I said quietly, but the words felt heavy, a weight that shifted something vital between us. Before he could respond, I turned away, heart pounding in my throat. The crowd of neighbors had grown, their whispers shifting from awe to sympathy, but I couldn't face their pity. Instead, I walked back towards my home, every step heavy with betrayal. What would happen now? The thought echoed in my mind, looping with unanswered questions. What was the truth buried behind that smile, behind his lies? And as the sun beat down on me, I knew this was only the beginning. I needed to dig deeper. Unbeknownst to me, shadows loomed closer, secrets waiting to unravel. Secrets that would not only change my world but might also put me in unimaginable danger. What was Jason involved in that hid behind those innocent smiles? The door slammed behind me, a loud punctuation mark that echoed through the silence of our home. A calmness swept over me, a brief respite from the storm outside. I sank onto the couch, the reality of that moment washing over me like icy water. I buried my head in my hands, struggling against the wave of emotions crashing over me. Betrayal, anger, hurt. They spiraled, each more suffocating than the last. My mind raced. What had I missed? Jason and I had shared everything, or so I thought. Were the late nights at work not just careless excuses but a cover for something darker? I could still picture his face, the panic and guilt etched across his features, the hidden depths of a man I thought I knew. Suddenly, my phone vibrated on the coffee table, cutting through my thoughts like a siren. It was a message from an unsaved number. Meet me at the old park. I have something you need to hear. Curiosity tugged at me, mingling with the unease that pooled in my stomach. Who was this person? What could they possibly want? Was it some kind of twisted joke? I stared at the screen, heart racing. Should I risk it? The lure of answers pulled me closer. After what felt like a lifetime of deliberation, I grabbed my jacket and rushed out the door. The afternoon sun was still hot, but a cool breeze whispered promises of impending change, the kind that made your skin tingle. As I drove to the park, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into an unknown abyss. The trees loomed ahead like dark sentinels, their shadows long, creeping across the path. I parked at the edge of the lot, my heart hammering against my ribcage. A woman was sitting on one of the benches, her back to me. As I approached, I felt 1,000 eyes on me, the weight of every decision I'd made settling heavily on my shoulders. She turned abruptly, her expression catching me off guard. It was familiar, yet I didn't recognize her. Anna, right? She said, her voice low, urgent. Who are you? I demanded, confusion lacing my tone. I'm someone you need to talk to about Jason, she replied, scanning the area as if she were expecting trouble. I know what he has been involved in. You deserve the truth. The chill of dread slid down my spine. My instinct was to turn away, to protect myself from another layer of betrayal, but a hunger for answers consumed me. I don't have time for games, I shot back, but deep down my heart raced. Just tell me what you know. She hesitated, as if weighing her words. It's worse than you think. He has gotten involved with some people who aren't what they seem. It's dangerous, Anna. You need to be careful. What are you talking about? I asked, now desperately clawing for clarity, frustration bubbling to the surface. What kind of people? They're into some serious criminal activities. She continued, voice barely above a whisper. I've seen him with them more than once. The woman you met earlier, she's just the tip of the iceberg. I staggered backward, the world tilting. Everything that felt so solid turned into quicksand beneath my feet. Was Jason lying not just about affairs but about his life? Why are you telling me this? I demanded, searching her eyes for sincerity. Because he's in over his head. And I want to help you, she said urgently. You need to get out now before it's too late. Just when I thought I could decipher the truth, the sound of footsteps interrupted us. I turned, heart lurching. It was Jason, face pale, eyes wide with shock. The confrontation I dreaded was about to unfold right here. Anna, what are you doing here? He asked, as if he were the one caught off guard. The tension in the air crackled. The moment hung between us like a precipice, teetering on the edge of chaos. The truth was no longer a whisper, but a roaring storm, and with every heartbeat, the weight of what lay ahead began to crush me. What other secrets lurked in the shadows, just waiting to spill into the light? Jason's eyes darted between me and the stranger on the bench, confusion bleeding into desperation. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, a sudden rush of blood roared in my ears, drowning everything else out. The woman's face was tense, her gaze flaring with urgency. Jason, we need to talk. I finally managed, my voice trembling but steady, like a rope pulled taut. He took a step closer, brow furrowing. What's going on? Who is she? I'm here to help Anna. The woman interjected, her voice slicing through the chaos. You've gotten yourself into something you can't handle, shut up. Jason's voice boomed, slicing through the thick tension. His eyes shimmered with equal parts fear and anger. You don't even know what you're talking about. Enough, Jason. I snapped, surprising even myself. The fire ignited inside me, pushing back against the bubbling dread. I'm tired of your lies. This woman knows something. You need to tell me the truth. He paused, hands clenching and unclenching, the vulnerability in his eyes flickering like a dying flame. Anna, I can explain everything. Is that what you always say? I shot back, heart thundering. What's left to explain? You've been lying to me and I need to know why. Because he swallowed hard, glancing at the woman as if she held the key to his escape. Because things aren't what they seem. I didn't intend for you to find out like this. My breath caught painfully in my throat. Find out what? That you're cheating on me with this woman? Or is it about the criminal underworld you're messing with? I gestured fiercely at the woman, whose name still hung over us, unspoken and heavy. Jason's expression collapsed in on itself. I wasn't cheating. Not physically. Not physically. The words burst from me like shrapnel. What does that even mean, Jason? You're in danger. You don't get to downplay this. He ran a hand through his hair, panic pouring off him in waves. I got involved in something bad. Something I thought I could contain. But it spiraled out of control. I never meant to hurt you. A sinking feeling lodged itself in my chest, twisting deeper as I pieced together the fragments of his confession. And you thought keeping secrets was better? I thought I could handle it. He yelled back, desperation shading his features. I got caught up in it, but it's over now. Promise. Over? I repeated, incredulous. You think it's over? Just like that? Suddenly, the woman stood, her posture electrified with urgency. Listen, Anna. If Jason is mixed up with dangerous people, then you're in danger too. They won't take kindly to him abandoning them. What do you mean? I asked, my heart hammering wildly as I glanced back at Jason, His face paling, she leaned closer, speaking briefly and intensely. You both need to go. Right now. You think this confrontation is the worst of it? It's far from over. They'll come for him, and when they come, they'll come for you too. Jason stepped closer to me, his eyes wide, pleading. Anna, please, we need to leave. Fear gripped my throat, choking every sane thought. I stood there, paralyzed between the man I loved and the whirlwind of chaos threatening to tear us apart. Where do we go? I finally whispered, uncertainty swelling inside me as his lips parted. The rustle of leaves caught our attention, figures emerging from the shadows. My heart sank as they stepped into the light, faces devoid of sympathy. Looks like you've got some explaining to do, Jason, one of them sneered. The air crackled with tension, closing in around us, and I knew, in that instant, there would be no easy escape. Secrets didn't just live in shadows, they hunted. What else was Jason hiding? And who were these strangers ready to chase us into the darkness? Jason, I gasped, adrenaline racing through my veins. The figures approached slowly, their intentions cloaked in menace. I could see the muscles in Jason's jaw tighten, fear flashing in his eyes. The first man, tall and broad with a scar running down his cheek, stepped forward. You're in deep, kid. You can't just walk away. His tone was chilling, as if the air had thickened with unspoken threats. Who are you? I managed to stammer, trying to grasp at some semblance of control. Just a friend of your boyfriend, he sneered, the corners of his mouth curling up maliciously. He has been playing our game and lost. Now he owes us. Jason's eyes widened, the weight of the revelation settling between us like a stone. I'm done with that, he protested, desperation lacing his voice. I didn't mean to what? The man interrupted, cutting through Jason's protests like a knife. You thought you could just drop it? You think we'd let you? Around us, the world seemed to shrink. I could barely breathe, the truth clawing at my insides. What does he owe? What have you done? I pressed, pushing through my nausea. My heart raced, pounding a frantic rhythm. They want their money, the woman interjected, still standing beside me, her voice steady but urgent. He was supposed to help with a shipment, something big. And now she gestured towards the men, the threat palpable in the air. Now they want him to pay, or worse. Her voice trailed off, and the fear etched in her features echoed my OW, and in that instant, the clear implications of betrayal hit me like a freight train. My hands trembled, and I struggled to keep coherent thoughts amidst the chaos brewing inside. Is this why you've been so distant? I shot at Jason, anger sparking to life even as fear pulsed through my veins. Anna, believe me, I never wanted any of this. I thought I could make it right without involving you, he pleaded, his voice thick with panic. A sharp laugh broke through the tension. Your girl doesn't look like she's in the mood for your lies, Jason. She deserves the truth, don't you think? Before I could process his words or the severity of the situation, the other man stepped forward, pushing Jason roughly back. The truth? You should thought about that before you got tangled up with us. I felt Jason's warmth retreating as he stumbled back, landing against the bench. I instinctively moved closer, my body shielding his as if my love could somehow protect us both. What do you want? I demanded, my voice rising despite my trembling hands. Simple, said the man with the scar. Bring us what he owes, and we'll let you walk away. Or he paused, peering closer into my eyes. You can both come with us. We can find you some work. If you're lucky. His smirk was predatory. I felt the ground shift beneath me, as if the world had tilted. What was happening? This can't be real. I glanced at Jason, his face pale and eyes wide, mirroring my own horror. Anna, don't listen to them, he urged, but his voice lacked conviction. The men exchanged glances, clearly savoring the rising tension, the uncertainty of our fates hanging in the balance like a pendulum swinging dangerously. What's it going to be? The scarred man taunted. You can run, but the past is a relentless hunter. Time stretched as I weighed our options. Was there truly a way out? Or were Jason's secrets pulling us both into a conspiracy that could swallow us whole? And right then, a howl echoed from the distance, a siren, cutting through the quiet dark. Police! One of them shouted, fear mingling with rage. They turned, faces slipping into panic as they assessed their options. They're coming for us. I realized, adrenaline surging again. Would this be our moment of escape or the beginning of something far worse? Jason's breath quickened, glancing back at the figures before darting his eyes toward the shadows. We need to go now. Before I could respond, the scarred man barked orders to his crew. Get her. We can't leave any loose ends. Panic rushed through me. I felt frozen, my legs like lead as the adrenaline promised a fight-or-flight response I couldn't summon. Anna, run! Jason shouted, breaking me free from my paralysis. I did as I was told, sprinting toward the exit of the small park. Leaves crunched beneath my feet, echoing into the night. I could hear Jason's footsteps behind me, pounding in frantic rhythm as we tore through the gathering darkness. My heart hammered, each pulse a reminder of the danger hot on our tails. Suddenly, I tripped on an uneven slab, my hands hitting the ground painfully. I knew I couldn't afford to slow down. Jason's hands wrapped around my arms, hoisting me back up. Keep going, he urged, urgency spilling from his lips as we darted down the sidewalk. Glancing back momentarily, I caught sight of the men closing the distance. The woman, who had stayed silent, sprinted with surprising speed. One of the thugs, clearly more agile than his bulk suggested, aimed a few angry words our way, sharpening the fear curling in my gut. Stop! You can't run from this! The echoes of his voice sent waves of terror through me. Thoughts raced. What had Jason gotten us into? Why couldn't he just have told me? But there was no time for lingering doubts. Anger flowed through me, fueling my flight as I pushed ahead. We turned a corner, and Jason grabbed my hand tighter. This way, he urged, pulling me down a narrow alleyway where the shadows swallowed us whole. The noises of footsteps faded slightly, but I could still hear the heavy breathing of our pursuers somewhere in the dark. Why, Jason? I whispered harshly, almost a hiss. Why didn't you just tell me? The weight of betrayal lingered on my tongue. I didn't want to drag you into this. He shot back, his voice sharp against the stillness around us. I figured I could manage it. I thought you thought what? You could play with dangerous people and not have it touch us. I spat, frustration boiling in my chest. Before he could answer, a shout rang out from the mouth of the alley, slicing through the tension like a knife. They went down here. My pulse raced even faster as I pressed against the cold, rough brick wall. What do we do? Panic fluttered in my throat, almost choking me. Jason's grip tightened on mine as fear flickered in his eyes. We have to find a way out. There has to be another street or a door that leads somewhere safe. We can't just wait here. What if they find us? The thought of being trapped sent shivers down my spine, a sensation akin to ice coating my limbs. They won't catch us. Not if we stick together, he said more forcefully now. Trust me. We'll think of something. A shuffling echoed from the entrance of the alley, shadows twisting larger as they approached. My heart sank. It was now or never. Go, Jason urged, and we took off again, racing through the vibrant darkness where every sound felt magnified. The sirens grew louder, swirling lights bouncing off the walls, but the realization hit hard: was help arriving, or were we just trading one danger for another? We ducked through a fence, stumbling into a side street bustling with pedestrians, oblivious to the danger chasing us. I glanced around, searching for any signs of safety, when Jason's words cut through the chaos. We need to split up. It's our only chance. What? No. I won't leave you. My heart dropped at the thought. It's the only way we'll survive. I'll find you. Just stay somewhere out of sight. He searched my eyes, desperation etched across his features. The men were only seconds away. I had to look away, trying to block out the reality of his plan. Promise me you'll be okay, he said, eyes fierce. I'll come back for you. I nodded, choking back fear and despair. Just as he turned, a figure loomed out of the shadows behind him, urgency crackling in the air like static. Jason! I screamed, but would it be too late? The scene was poised to erupt, a volatile mixture of choices converging on one point. Could I trust him to return, or would our lives spiral deeper into darkness? I stood rooted to the spot, a scream clawing at my throat as the figure lunged toward Jason. Desperation exploded inside me. No! I screamed again, the word shattering the night air like glass. Jason's head whipped around just in time to see the threat, a burly man with a dark hoodie, his face obscured. Jason's instincts kicked in. He ducked to the side, barely escaping the man's grasp. But the alley was narrow. It felt like we were trapped in a vacuum of terror. My heart raced faster than I thought possible. Go! Jason shouted over his shoulder, fists clenched, ready to fight. But I couldn't move. A cold sweat broke against my skin, and I felt as if the air around me had thickened. Jason! I pleaded, my voice cracking. The thug threw a wild punch, which Jason narrowly deflected, retaliating with a swift kick aimed at his attacker's knee. The man staggered, but didn't go down. He roared in frustration, and the noise echoed off the brick walls, amplifying my panic. Run! Jason growled, his eyes fierce and desperate. He was fighting for both of us, and I finally felt the fire of survival ignite within me. I turned and sprinted down the sidewalk, my legs moving frantically as I zigzagged through startled pedestrians who seemed blissfully unaware of the chaos trailing behind me. I could hear the sounds of conflict behind me, grunts, a dull thud, and the sounds of scuffling feet. Each noise sent jolts of fear coursing through my veins. Were they coming for me next? I could feel my breath hitching in my throat, a relentless weight heavy in my chest. Just then, a memory struck me, reminding me of the last argument we shared. The world can be cruel, Anna, Jason had said, eyes flashing with an intensity that made my heart flutter. I'll do anything to protect you. Could he protect me now? Would I see him again? I forced myself to focus. Finding a place to hide seemed paramount. A door, a store, anything. Suddenly, a flash of blue and red lights streaked past me. Sirens blared, and I caught sight of a police car pulling up at the end of the street. Hope surged. My heart leaped. Maybe I could make it there. I glanced back, anxiety clawing at me as I saw a couple of figures break away from the alley. One of them unmistakably Jason, bruised but on his feet. The other, that hulking man, a predator in pursuit. Police! I shouted, desperation spilling from my lips as I sprinted toward the squad car, waving my arms wildly. As if responding to an unseen signal, more officers jumped out, their faces set in grim determination. Over here, one officer yelled, gesturing me toward their vehicle. I ran faster, pulling my trembling limbs into motion as the thrumming of my heart drowned out the chaos behind me. Just as I made it to the safety of the squad car, I felt a powerful hand grasp my shoulder. The officer pulled me up against the vehicle, his expression serious. What's going on? I turned, breathing hard, my eyes wide as I caught sight of Jason entering the light, his bloodied knuckles gripping the edge of the police vehicle. They're coming, I shouted, pointing back toward the alley. But before anyone could respond, that thug charged from the shadows, his intentions clear. He wasn't done yet. The air thickened with dread as we prepared for a confrontation that could shatter everything. Get back, the officer shouted. I barely registered the warning as my heart raced, bracing for the inevitable clash. What would happen next? Would the police arrest him, or would we end up in another terrifying chase? The scene was about to explode, spiraling into an unknown fate. I held my breath as the air crackled with tension, waiting for the next moment to unfold. The thug barreled toward us, his dark hoodie flapping like a shroud as he charged. I held my breath, my heart pounding like a war drum. He was a beast unleashed, the menacing look in his eyes promising violence. Get down, Jason shouted, pulling me behind him just as the officer raised his baton, ready to intervene. He lunged forward with a fierce determination, but the thug slipped into a feral crouch and swung a wild fist. The deep thud of impact echoed through the alley as it connected with Jason's shoulder. He stumbled but didn't fall. Now, the officer commanded, and I felt a surge of urgency wash over me. Cover him. I moved, my instincts igniting. With one arm, I pushed Jason to the side and turned to face the threat head-on. I could barely distinguish fear from fury, my adrenaline coursing through me like fire. The thug, realizing I wasn't backing down, hesitated just for a moment. That was all we needed. The officer sidestepped me, diverting his focus on the advancing attacker. "Stop right there," he yelled, leveling his baton as another officer rushed in, ready to flank from the opposite side. The air was electric, tense with the promise of chaos that could erupt at any moment. Then it happened. Before we could react, the thug turned, darting into an alley on our left, a cowardly retreat from a fight he started. I felt a mix of relief and confusion flood my senses. Why was he running? "Stay together," the officer shouted, sprinting after him with his partner close behind. Jason's hand tightened around my wrist, pulling me toward the police vehicle. We were alive for now, but the fear hadn't settled yet. The pitter-patter of my pulse drowned out the shouting and blaring sirens. "What just happened?" I stammered, glancing at Jason. His face was a tapestry of confusion and adrenaline, but there was something deeper beneath it all, a flicker of worry that sent a shiver down my spine as the officers rounded the corner. I caught an unnerving glimpse of the thug's retreating form. He was quick, too quick. It was unsettling to think he could disappear into the night, but I faced the reality of our situation head-on. We weren't safe yet. Just then, a bystander stepped forward, a young man with sweat-drenched hair and wide eyes. "The guy, he had a knife. I saw it," he exclaimed, fear resonating in his tone. My stomach turned at the thought. "A knife?" Jason whispered. We could vibe in his voice trailed off, a chilling thought hanging in the air between us. Before either of us could process the weight of that realization, the officers returned, their faces grim. "He got away," one of them said heavily. "We're going to need canines and backup to search the area." My stomach nodded. The chase wasn't over. The night was still young, and danger lurked around every corner. Jason looked at me. In his eyes, I could see a mix of determination and fear. "We need to go somewhere safe," he said urgently, scanning the street as if expecting the thug to materialize out of thin air. As we prepared to slip away from the chaos, I remembered a familiar ache from that earlier conversation, the sense of protection Jason promised me. But now I questioned whether he could keep that promise. "Where do we go?" I asked. "What if he finds us again?" His gaze hardened with resolve. "I know a place." We started to walk, but an unsettling silence fell, broken only by the distant wail of the sirens fading into the night. I felt the weight of uncertainty seep in. If he could evade the police, what else was he capable of? Would he come for us? Just then, a dark figure loomed at the edge of my sight, watching. I froze. My heart quickened, a bead of sweat trickling down my back. "Keep moving," Jason urged, his voice steady yet urgent. But I couldn't shake the sensation that we were being trailed, marked like prey as darkness draped over the street. The weight of the unknown settled on my shoulders. Where would we end up, and what horrors awaited us? I had no answers, only the instinct to survive. What if we couldn't escape this man? What if he was still out there, waiting and watching? We walked quickly, my heart still racing, adrenaline pulsing through my veins. Jason kept glancing around, as if the shadows themselves might spring to life. I could feel the prickling tension in the air, almost like a storm brewing just out of sight. Each step felt heavier than the last. Each sound amplified the scuffle of our shoes, the rustle of trash in the wind, distant laughter echoing in the night. "Just a little further," Jason assured, his voice low and steady, but I could hear the strain there. We turned down a dimly lit street, the flickering of old streetlights casting eerie shadows that danced on the sidewalk. For a moment, I thought I saw movement behind us, a flicker of fabric in the darkness, but when I turned, nothing was there. Just emptiness. "Do you think," I started, but the words died in my throat. What could I ask? "Do you think he's following us?" It felt like a question that didn't need an answer because deep down, I already feared the truth. "Almost there. Just stick close," Jason urged again, his grip on my wrist tightening. I could feel the warmth radiating from him, a small comfort in this chaotic world. But the fear clawed at me, each beat of my heart matching my growing anxiety. Then we saw it. An old diner, neon lights flickering like a heartbeat, its windows smeared but still welcoming. "We can hide there," Jason said. His determination was mingled with a hint of urgency that I couldn't ignore, and I nodded. Without another word, we pushed through the door. The inside was shabby yet oddly cozy, filled with the low hum of a jukebox playing an old tune. The smell of burnt coffee and stale fries hit me like a wave, oddly comforting. A few other patrons sat scattered in booths, and a tired waitress wiped down the counter, glancing at us with mild curiosity. I felt like we were intruders here, thrust into a world that didn't know our fear. "Coffee?" a woman behind the counter asked as she approached. Her expression was friendly, but I could see the glint of concern in her eyes. "No thanks. Just water, please," Jason replied. His voice was tense. I could sense he was on high alert, scanning the room for signs of trouble. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched as we settled into a booth towards the back. I leaned in, my voice barely above a whisper. "Do you really think we're safe here?" Jason's eyes darted to the door and then back to me. "For now, just keep your head down." I tried to relax, but the tension in my chest didn't ease. The jukebox clicked off abruptly, and in that silence, I felt exposed. I sought solace in the view from the window, watching the shadows stretch and blend into the night. And then I saw him. He was standing across the street, just outside the glow of a lamppost. The thug. My breath hitched as I clutched at the edge of the table, my heart pounding so loud I was sure everyone could hear it. "Jason!" I exclaimed, panic flooding my words as I pointed. But when he turned to look, the street was empty again. The thug had vanished like a wisp of smoke. "What?" Jason questioned, his brow furrowing with concern. "I swear, he was just there." My voice trailed off, doubt creeping in like a fog. Had I imagined it? Before Jason could respond, the front door swung open with sudden force, and a cold gust swept into the diner. I turned and my stomach dropped. There he was, that same dark figure, a menacing presence filling the doorway. He scanned the diner, his eyes piercing as they landed on us. "Run!" Jason shouted, grabbing my arm and pulling me up from the booth. The world erupted around us. Chairs scraped against the floor, startled gasps from the patrons as we rushed for the back exit. But would we make it out? Would we be caught in this nightmare once and for all? The thud of footsteps followed us, echoing like a ticking clock counting down to doom. I glanced back. Was he really coming for us? Or was it my imagination? Or worse, what if his plans had only just begun? We burst through the kitchen door, frantically pushing past startled cooks and a couple of bewildered dishwashers. My heart pounded like a drum, each thud a reminder of our perilous situation. Jason's grip on my hand felt steady, a lifeline amidst the chaos. "Keep moving," he urged, his voice steady but laced with urgency. A rush of panic ignited my instincts as we ducked past clattering pots and scattered ingredients. Desperate for an escape route, a loud crash echoed behind us. The thug had shoved the door open, and the sheer terror on his face was enough to fuel my adrenaline. The diner wasn't safe anymore. It had become a trap closing in around us. In the rush of adrenaline, the world outside beckoned, a world still lit with fading neon glows. I spotted a fire exit at the far end of the hallway. "There!" I shouted, pointing, but Jason was already ahead of me, his feet pounding on the linoleum floor. As we darted through the door, the cool night air hit like a wave, refreshing yet ominous. The alley resembled a labyrinth, shadows lurking at every corner. A sense of urgency sparked between us as we sprinted, our breaths ragged and heavy. "Where to now?" I panted, dread pooling in my stomach. I could still hear the clang of the kitchen door behind us, a prelude to the chase. "Just follow me," Jason shouted, his tone leaving no room for doubt. We dashed forward, twisting through narrow passages until finally, we emerged on a quiet street. Silence enveloped us like a fog, making the fear in my chest grow tighter. But it would not be long before the reality of our peril settled in. What do we do now? He could be right behind us, My voice trembled. Voice barely more than a pinched whisper. I don't know. But we need to find police or someone who can help. Jason looked around, scanning for movement. We can't go home. Not yet. As we moved further down the street, the shadows danced across the pavement, mocking my growing anxiety. Suddenly, a flicker of headlights pierced the darkness. I squinted, heart leaping. Do you think? Let us hope yes. Jason gasped, and we hurried towards the sound. A police cruiser rolled to a stop beside us, and the officer inside jumped out, his hands already resting on his holster. Get in, he commanded, taking stock of our terrified expressions. We didn't need to be told twice. We scrambled into the back seat, a weight lifting slightly off my chest as the officer slammed the door shut. Are you two okay? He asked, glancing at us with concern etched across his features. At least we're safe for now, I breathed, pressing my forehead against the cool glass of the window. But the panic hadn't subsided completely. I could still feel the rabid energy buzzing through me, pulsing like a warning. Do you know where he is? The officer asked, turning the car engine back on and flicking on the lights. No, he was chasing us. I stammered, struggling to piece together the fear engulfing me. But he is dangerous. He has a knife. The officer's expression hardened. We'll need to act quickly. He pushed the gas pedal down, and the car surged forward, weaving through the streets. As we pressed on, I turned to Jason. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered, lips trembling with a strange mixture of anger and fear. I thought I could handle it. I swear. Anna, I never wanted any of this. His voice was thick with emotion, raw with apologies and regrets. But you put us in danger, Jason. I trusted you. Each word felt like a pill lodged in my throat. But a part of me wouldn't let go of the hope that he could redeem himself. I know, he replied, anguish etched across his face. And I can't lose you. Not like this. At that moment, an echo of resolve settled in my heart. We had survived a multitude of chaos together, and perhaps it wasn't over yet. I took his hand, squeezing tighter as if to ground myself against the uncertainty that swirled around us like a violent wind. The sirens wailed, pulling me back to reality. My heart raced, but I felt a spark of strength growing. We were in this together. Nothing could tear us apart. But even as hope surged, the shadows still loomed large, and with them came unfinished business, unanswered questions that clung like morning fog. As we raced through the night, I could not shake the feeling that this battle was just the beginning. Finally, the cruiser slowed as we approached a police station. Safety lay just ahead. But our fight wasn't just against the lurking dangers behind us. It was about untangling the web of lies Jason had spun. It was about looking deeper, facing darker truths hidden beneath surface smiles. As the officer flung open the door, I stepped out, pulling Jason with me. The night was still young, but we were alive, and together we could face whatever came our way. Let us end this, I declared, determination steadied in my voice. Jason nodded, eyes fierce with resolve. The shadows could come. We were ready. But our fight was more than chasing down one thug. It was about reclaiming our lives and our future together, no matter the cost. And so, with hearts racing and dread still lingering, we stepped into the light, prepared to face the dawn of a new chapter, the dawn of truth. Now, if you've made it this far, listen up. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel, so you don't miss our next exclusive stories, trust me. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the twists in this story. I want to hear what you think. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let's keep this amazing community buzzing.